Spending lots of time searching outside of yourself to find happiness, joy, health, and wealth? With each new acquired good or goal reached, are you once again jumping on the gerbil wheel, searching for that next thing to make you happy? The answers we are searching for are actually inside of us, and the connection we are looking for is one with self. Explore these and other self-reflective questions here on Finding the Spark Within. Hosted by Christin Collins, discover how you can connect with your purpose and achieve true happiness, meaning, and well-being. Don't miss tuning in and find the spark within.
Hi, Christin Collins, and welcome to another episode of the Find the Spark Within podcast. And as always, I love to shed light on other folks who are doing incredible work to help us find that interconnectivity, that joy, that wholeness, that health that already exists inside of us. And today's special guest is really, really cool to me because this happens to be a guest that I hadn't done any particular work with until very, very recently. A lot of my other guests are people I've walked quite a bit of time with. Well, my new friend, Anthony Cotter, is the founder and CEO of Whole Life Goals, which is a platform that we're going to have him describe to us that helps people live their best life. And I actually became a member recently to be able to offer my services. So, Anthony, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me. It's great. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, as mentioned, it's super fun for me because as we're going to unfold this conversation today, I'm sure I'm going to have some new learnings about you. But after crossing with you and learning a little bit about your journey, you are a very, very, very special person, especially for the community that I love to convene with, because you have such an interesting journey to get you to today and your passion work and your purpose work. So, Anthony, would you mind taking us back a bit into some of your early experiences that led you to the work that you're currently doing today?
Absolutely. It's funny when I get asked that question, I'm not sure how far back I should go. So, because it's really been a journey from a very young age. So I'll go back as I'll say 5 years old, where it kind of all started, where people usually tend to go back to where the traumatic experience happened, because, when that's kind of, it gets locked in your system. So okay, I was this age, this is what happened, and it's kind of, that's where it is. So around 5 years old, my mother and father divorced. I moved in with a stepfather who wasn't very kind. And then during those times, my mother, she raised me vegetarian from birth. And so I've never tried meat or fish or poultry or anything like that. And from there, she taught meditation and yoga. She was a yoga instructor. So was her sister. Her brothers were, gone to India and were deep into like the Buddhist scene and all that fun stuff. So very, very colorful. She has very colorful siblings. So divorce, stepfather, she passes away when I was 9 years old on Christmas Eve. Ugh. And from there, I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens with my dad, who is a Vietnam vet and has been self-medicating for many, many decades. Sure. And an older brother. So if I am 9, so he's 14. So he's like, 9th grade, 10th grade. And, he's, a violent kid. He's a tough kid and, a street kid. And by the time, he's 18, 19, he's in and out of Rikers Island. And he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. So he's, was very, he has a very tough upbringing. He's been institutionalized now for over 30 years. Wow. So that is the beginning. That's the beginning of the journey. Do you want me to keep going?
Well, I want to just hug you virtually right now and just thank you for your authentic share. And I do love in your communication on your website, you do share a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But why I'd like to weigh in and pause is because part of the work that I'm hoping to inspire is us owning our story.
Right on.
And not letting our story define us.
Right.
You know, what you've just described is probably stuff that you don't ever move like totally away from. That is part of who you are. You said it previously, it's embedded in your DNA. So I love that you own your story, but you don't let it own you. And it becomes your authentic foundation to do the work that you are gifting the world with.
For sure. Yeah, it happened so long ago, so when I think about it, I think about it in the context of it happened to somebody else. I'm reading a book, or it's like, what a wild adventure.
Well, isn't that what life is too, right? When through meditation and through mindfulness and presence, we aren't those emotions, right? We're the essence or being that's experiencing those emotions. So that's what you just described. And it's not like you're in denial or you're dissociating from it. You're just like contemplative and like, that's interesting. And then, and I want to get up to speed, but this just happened. So I'd love, for folks right now who heard this and are like, wow, he really owns his young journey. How are some ways that you got to that point where you were able to be comfortable in your own experience and skin?
So I'll tell you one experience that really, these little aha moments, that we go through. So this is fourth grade. I'm in a new school surrounded by kids I don't know. And I remember talking, so they don't know that, my mom passed away, or why I'm there, right? Because she passes away, and then you start a new school like after the Christmas vacation, and so and I remember, this is maybe 2 months, 3 months prior to my mom passing away, and she's just distraught, just like really going through this. Her cat died, I believe it was her cat, and she just had this. So there's just so much suffering from the connection that she had with her cat is no longer with us anymore. And in that moment, I was like, wow, suffering is suffering. There is no, oh, my mom or my dad died, so that's a higher level of suffering, or someone's goldfish or cat, or, or this loss, this loss is, this attachment to this thing that's no longer with us. And that's, it's the same amount of suffering. It's the same level of suffering, and so, that was an interesting moment. And
that's a beautiful reflection. And I think for heavy trauma, a mother or father dying, or an abuse, like a heavy trauma, for me, it's almost easier to wrap your head around suffering and trauma. Something that my beautiful stepdaughter, who I've done a ton of work with, she has taught me, and she's a licensed clinical social worker, is that there's big T's and little T's, and something that may be seemingly not a big deal to a you or a me or what have you, actually can just right place, right time, really, really be catastrophic suffering for someone. And we have to be mindful of that for self. Absolutely. Where it's like, well, it's not really that big of a deal. Well, no, to you at that time it was, right. And vice versa. And something else I want to shed light on that you said, which is really important, is, so we've all had trauma. No one's escaped trauma. I don't know the magnitude according to the Richter scale that someone was, but going back to that triggering event and doing the work to heal, that was the experience that I had to go through, was the reset and go back. And I think that's something that you are helping people do.
Yeah. I feel writing is such a unique experience to, let's say 10 years later, all these things have happened to you, 20, 30, 50, whatever. And you go back, because when you're writing it, you're connecting these, you're stringing along these stories, right? And you're connecting these dots, but you're also, you're reliving it. I left my home when I was, young, my brother and my dad are fist fighting on the, fighting each other physically. And there was a kick, there was a glass throw and a pot, someone flipped over the couch. And I was like, I'm done, I'm out. I grabbed my jacket, maybe my headphones and a hat. And I remember I leave, and the second I'm out the door, it just starts pouring rain on me. And it's thunderstorming and I'm soaking wet, and the holes in my shoes are sucking up the water, and my socks are wet, which is the worst. Wet socks, the worst. and then that whole experience of what to do now, and what are the next steps, and where do we go from here, and all that stuff. And I jump over a fence and knock on a friend's back door. He thinks someone's robbing the house. He answers it with a shotgun to my head. I must be like, I don't know, 14 years old. And he's up all night doing cocaine. And I was just like, dude, I need a floor and I need dry socks and I'll be fine. And that was it. He gave me socks. I remember leaving my wet socks right by his bed. And that was it. The next morning I was out, and the adventure begins, and trying to figure out where, hang out with some friends and don't really tell them what's going on, so they won't, there won't be standoff, just kind of see where the night flows, and just so I could maybe sleep by their house or get a bite to eat or something like that. And so where this story is going to, these big T's or little T's, I'm with a friend. And he's like, oh, come by my place. And we get there, and there are relatives there. So he was like, oh, maybe not a good time to come. So we say goodbye. He goes in the door, and I just literally walk out and go into the backyard. And I live in his shed for 4 months through the winter. And so when you're writing out these stories, the little thing that I remember so vividly is I slept in his inflatable raft. He had a pool, and so I had this yellow inflatable raft, which was my bed. And I had bags of, later on, I brought my bags there and of my clothing, which I laid out, which I was always wrinkled and a mess. And then and I covered myself with the umbrella for the table. That was the covering. And then his mom came in. It was like 7 a.m, and the door opened, and I kind of stood up, and she was startled, and she was like, she recognized my face. She was like, Anthony? And I'm like, yep. And she was like, come in, someone, her son is at school. So she's like, he's not here. Come in. She's like, I'm off to work. Make yourself something to eat and stay for as long as you want. Moms.
Wow.
Moms are the best. Yes. So I just had something to eat, made something to eat, grabbed an iced tea. I remember having iced tea and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I left. I was so embarrassed, and I left. So that was, yeah. So writing is definitely very therapeutic, and because you could relive and get into the nooks and crannies of it all, and release it.
Amen. I completely agree with you, and went through that process. I just mailed you a copy of my book. And I was talking to someone literally about an hour ago about the process of writing, and how when you are just downloading your thoughts and your stories, write it just for yourself. Right. And whatever, burn it, to somebody, it doesn't matter. It's that action, that activity. So I'm in total alignment with you for that. So I'm still in awe. And I told you this when we first connected, I'm in awe of how you've taken so much at such a young age and turned it into this incredible opportunity, not only to support yourself, but to affect and touch and inspire so many of us. But before we hop into the founding of your company and its offerings, because I think it's tremendous and I'm in total alignment with you, I want to stick in the middle here for a moment, because now I've got you living in a shed. You have your friend's mom discover you, you're mortified, you go in, you make a PB&J with an iced tea. How are you not self-medicating to the moon? How are you keeping it together? Where did you go from here?
Well, so literally from there, my buddy, his name is Nicky. So my buddy Nicky sees me at the park, and And he's like, oh man, I you know, because after school kids go to the park, but I'm no longer in school. So yeah, so he says, oh, you could always come to my house, you could always stay, everything's cool. I was like, all right. That night, not kidding you, it's probably like 11 o'clock at night, and I am definitely self-medicating through the roof. You know, drugs, alcohol, whatever you have is fine, it works. So I go to the back of the house where he's at, like this extra room, and I lift up the you know, I think most of the windows have like metal gates on it, but one doesn't. I lift up that window, the alarm goes off, and now I am running because I woke up his mom, and like, you know, so I was like, oh, like, you know, when things can't get any worse, they tend to get a little bit worse, you know? And so, yeah, so through all those experiences of living on rooftops and park benches and underneath park benches when it rains, and at the playground, there's a castle, and between these two posts, there's this tunnel, so you could sleep in there and no one could see you. School buildings, I used to sleep at PS 232 on the roof. But yeah, all these fun adventures. I tell you one thing, as crazy as all of that sounds, I want you and everyone to know life was so free. There was no rules. Like, you know, if my dad is doing heavy drugs, you know, at the house, and my brother is running around, there was no, I didn't need to check in anywhere. And so there's so many kids on the streets that are like that in New York City. So it becomes like a community, you find your community, you know. Wow. So there is really some, it's fun, you know. It's not just, I don't want to make it, oh, dude, my life is so tough, but you know, it's fun, it's an adventure, it's amazing. And you don't know any different, you know, you don't know any different. If, you know, you compare yourself to, oh, this kid, you know, he turned 17, so he gets a new car, you know, and then this kid has new clothes, you know, for the holidays or something. So those thoughts and stuff you compare yourself to, and then that's where the suffering starts, right? It's in your mind. So yeah,
that's it. I appreciate you bringing that into this space. When I come upon someone, old, young, doesn't matter, who has a different, you know, life situation than I do, I always ponder, like, where is their family? Do they know where they are? Is this by choice? You know, there's just so many interesting thoughts that go through my head. And when there's beautiful people doing a ton of work to help support folks, you know, that have different lifestyle than I do per se. So I appreciate you bringing into this discussion about how actually, you know, it is a community and you find that community.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So take me to a moment when you started shifting your community to be something more similar to where you are today, and giving you more of the platform to be able to step into your work now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, a lot happened.
I'm sure.
But the idea of why my mother raised me vegetarian, why she taught me meditation, why she taught me yoga, and my uncles and, you know, the people that she was around, all these colorful gurus and teachers, and really had wild experiences, you know, just, yeah, really interested with these gurus at the time. So all these little things stayed with me. Well, that was a big thing, but all these little things stayed with me. So fast forward, as I am drinking a lot and doing stuff, I'm working in a skateboard shop in Manhattan on Chambers Street in West Broadway. And my cousin comes in and is like, you got to read this book, Diet for a New America by John Robbins. And he is the son of his dad and his brother, dad and brother-in-law. So his dad and his uncle started Baskin and Robbins. And he is like, so I'm like, all right, great book, right? So I'm reading it, and it's like how cows are amazing, and these dogs are so smart, and chickens are lovable, and pigs are smarter than dogs, like just great stories. I'm like, oh, fun, yay, animals, yeah, you know. And then in the middle of the book, slaughter, kill, torture, you know, all this stuff. And it's like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, who knew, you know, how much suffering is in a pint of milk, you know, like I didn't know. And you grow up in New York City, you know, you eat pizza all the time, that's what you eat. So yeah, I was like, all right, well, that the shift then happens there. It's like, am I going to drink, 10 gallons of Guinness, tonight, and, this, then put this in my body, not in my body, but then I know I won't have a slice of pizza, and so, it becomes that you start to aware, and you start to become aware of what am I going to put in my body, not be hypocritical. And that was the first, it wasn't the first time, but that's for because there's pictures in the book and all this stuff. So it was the real time that I said, yeah, I have to really start to think about why my mom raised me this way. And that book was the catalyst for sure.
What a beautiful reflection. And it's so, I love those stories when something comes back and it makes sense, decades later. And I'm like, oh, wow. I met that person 15 years ago and I had that experience. I guess wasn't ready for it, or it becomes foundational. So, and I too entered into this current space that I'm in through food, through the idea of food and becoming vegan, which I still am today. And my husband and I have been for about 7 years. Understanding, it opened the door to understanding not only literally what I'm consuming, but emotionally, hormonally, these animals being slaughtered. So that was my first entree into a holistic lifestyle. So I'm with you. So bring us up to you launching your platform and your company and your concept, which again, I'm in total love with, of it being a holistic approach to health and well-being. Take us there.
Sure. So there's 4 aspects of the website, which are movement, meals, mind, and money. And I guess it was like decades of, so like for me, my movement was becoming a certified yoga teacher. So that's my movement category. But there's personal trainers, Zumba teachers, Pilates instructors, right? So that's movement. For meals, it was being a certified raw food chef, which was an amazing experience. So that's my meals. Mind, I became a meditation teacher for juvenile hall systems with a group called Mind Body Awareness Project. I taught in Oakland and San Francisco and San Rafael. And then the money aspect, again, another decade later, I became an institutional broker for a company called Collins Stewart. And that when all those things were in harmony, my life was the best. That's the best.
And to your point, harmony and balance, right? Yeah. So wherever you enter the wheel of well-being or health or happiness, wholeness, and when you start getting really good at one, so say you're really, really good at eating, but you're sitting on your butt and you're, a mess financially and your thoughts are overwhelming you, you start to then understand, oh, there's got to be something else because I'm eating really well. But I'm still off. And I'm on that constant pendulum swing of, okay, I'm off. Where do I need to inflate my wheel? So I love your holistic approach to that. So what was your vision behind offering these 4 components to community through your website?
Yeah, so it's really, I'll just take you through how the site works. Excuse me. So when you enter the site as someone with a goal, it literally says, what is your goal? And then it's broken down in those 4 things. And then the answers, or the selections you could use, it's very generic. So it's like for meals, be like lose weight, yada, yada, yada. For movement, it's like become stronger, flexible, fit, train for an event, so it's just very generic that, you kind of click through, and then once you click through, then more open up, and then you go through the section. But when it gets to the bottom of that, there's another tab that says traumatic experiences. And so this is a very unique way of connecting people, because when the practitioner joins, we ask, instead of what is your goal, what do you specialize in? And they click, movement, meals, mind, money, and they click through the same thing, and we connect them. So we're offering the way to connect people through traumatic experiences. And there's a list. You don't need to divulge your experience, but you could click through it. Oh, I've been bankrupt, divorce, community violence, whatever on there, military trauma, which is a very big one, vaccine issues, there's a lot of mental and physical issues with that. So you go through your experiences. If they really have an effect on your ability to move forward, if they really pose an obstacle in your life today, then I want to connect you with someone who went through a similar life experience, or who focuses solely on that one field, because in like AA and there, other places like that, they're saying is, if you want what we have, you got to come here and get it. Meaning, if you want sobriety, surround yourself with people that are sober, and you'll find sobriety as well. And so it is a life hack in that way, to find that community. Hey, you went through divorce, you're 50 pounds overweight, you're sitting on the couch. What if you were matched with somebody that, hey, I've been through what you've been through. I had no motivation. I couldn't get off the couch. I was depressed. But now I've done X, Y, and Z. Now you don't have to, you don't have to search. You don't have to, they figured it out. That's the person I want to connect to. They're going to have the most compassion for your situation because they've been there. And so that's the basis. That's like the heart of the website.
Absolutely love it. And as a connector by heart myself, when you get to make that connection of two people or entities that get together that can both grow. I mean, even as the teacher, I now have signed up to be a practitioner on your platform, and the joy that it brings me and the clarity that it brings me when I'm working with someone, right? I have ahas, I have takeaways. And right. So that's why I think for practitioners, it's also a huge benefit, not only to be able to put out to the world your offering, your life's purpose, but also too, to get that joy, to get that deeper understanding yourself by holding space for someone else.
Yeah. As a connector, I feel like I'm a connector as well. And that then there is such excitement and such gratitude, and just so thankful when you get to connect somebody, whether it be for whatever it is, really, you get to connect somebody with a great book, with a great documentary, with a great teacher, with whatever, and then their transformation. And then I'm sure that's all ego related, but they turn around and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much for this. There's that. It just lights me up. It feels so good that I want to do more of it. I want to do more. How do I serve more people? How do I help more people? How do I connect more people? Because you get it. You get that jolt of love or awesomeness. And it's it's the same way of when you see somebody that you give them $20 or $5 on the street, you're paying for that experience. As weird as it sounds, and that's you only think about it later in life. But it's like you give them that money and they're happy. Oh man, now I could go eat some apples or do whatever. And then that felt good to give. That felt really good to give. There's a saying by I don't know if it's a saying, but when a student asked Neem Karoli Baba, they said, what's the way to enlightenment? His response was feed people. And then they said, what's the way to God? And he said, serve people. And so that really stays with me. It really stays with you. And it's really a blessing to be able to do those things and connect
amen.
people.
Amen. And I'm going to digest the ego part. And I actually that's something that in hindsight, when I was being of service, it was the ego, but it ironically wasn't the ego because I wanted other people to like me or accept me or think I was awesome or something. It was actually so I would like or accept myself, which that was a mind blow. When I figured that out a few years ago, I was like, that's weird and deep and not healthy. And now I think what happened when you were describing that in my head was, when I'm connecting or being connected, I'm in flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, we're all interconnected. We are designed to be interconnected. And when we're disconnected, that's when we have dis-ease, whether it's from self, we're disconnected, or, you and I, one another. So I find that euphoria that I get from connecting, when I am connecting from that place of wholeness, not so that I like me, but I'm just being me. I'm living my authentic, true, highest self. Then I'm in flow. And that's when I just get really darn excited about breathing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're in that state, all the little like you're aware of all those little synchronicities and all those little things that kind of pop. You get a thought in your head, you turn to the radio, the same thought is now being fed back to you in a song, or you're having a conversation and someone else, and it's just it just that energy. It's like, man, I'm in the right place at the right time. It's happening. I'm noticing it. I'm feeling it. And it's also a space of no thought, right? No, of flow. And I feel like that's the most important, or that's the most the beauty of it is the space of no thought. Really, the download, or the consciousness could really flow into your system when you're in a space of no thought. And that's that flow state. I mean, all the great sports players and Michael Jordan, everyone, they talk about it, so it's true. And it could happen anywhere and any time. And it has nothing to do with playing sports, but it is a rush that people get addicted to. That's why they jump out of planes and skydive, and because there's no thought and you're in this state of this kind of oneness, right? Because it is that, it's that state. It's beautiful.
Well, and I think that your platform helps people get into that balance, to be able to get into the present, right? Mm-hmm. Release the past, stop fretting about the future, be here now, and then be able to receive those synchronicities. And for folks who are listening through the podcast platform, go back a few episodes, 2 or 3 episodes, because I had the divine pleasure of connecting with Dr. Ken Harris, who's author of a book called Synchronicity. And his whole platform is about how when you are present, you can literally experience, they're happening all the time. You just miss them a lot when you're not here now. And Ken, that's one of my favorite things is when I'm in flow and I'm feeling them, I'll reach out to Ken. I'm like, I'm seeing those synchronicities everywhere. And Anthony, I have to tell you, I feel like crossing with you is a synchronicity. It was something that I was very excited about the opportunity, because again, you create an environment to support people to find their holistic approach to their life goals, to do the healing work, to set those goals on this gorgeous platform. So where can people access this so that they can work on their whole life goals?
Sure. So it's wholelifegoals.com. So WHOLELIFEGOALS.com. And it's normally, the platform is normally $10 a month, but we want everyone to join, and we want great healers and great teachers and mentors and coaches. So we offer, if you want to join for free for a year, there's a promo code, which is WLG, the number 4U, and it'd be free for a year, and then $10 a month after that. Or they could join up as WLG Friends, capital F in Friends, and it's $2.99 a month for the lifetime of forever, because the $2.99 really helps us, because we're adding so much all the time. So you're being an early adopter, and you're jumping on helping us, and so we want to keep promoting you. And that's the excitement for me, is finding the person that has these unique healing modalities, and like, all right, I will find people that need exactly what you're doing. And that is what I love to do. And I'm so excited about doing it and doing this and like podcasts and talking. I love it all. I love it. It's fantastic. And I thank you so much, because if it wasn't for you doing it, then I wouldn't be here sharing it. So it's incredible. Thank you.
Well, again, synchronicity. And I signed up for I started the little donation now, because I was like, well, I mean, it's not going to make a mortgage payment for anybody, but I wanted to exchange energetically my gratitude for you holding space so that I can put out to folks to support their journey. So that's for practitioners. Do you have any modalities or any areas where you need some additional practitioners to get involved, and they for a whole year could be for free? Are there any holes that we want to put out there, because there's a lot of different people who listen to this who maybe practice what you may need? Yeah.
So what is needed is, I mean, it's all needed, right? Because as a coach, you're going to bring your unique experience to it. And so the matching will happen. So we need coaches of all walks of life, definitely. We need people that meet each other face to face and because you can't get a massage online and you can't go to a chiropractor online. So we need more of that, more, yeah, you could do a yoga class through video, but if you're a yoga teacher that if you travel to the person's house or the person travels to you or stuff like that, yeah, we need more boots on the ground. And so neurofeedback, biofeedback, acupuncture, acupressure, there's so many people doing amazing things. And that's what I'm excited about, promoting these beautiful, amazing healers and beings. That's the best. What's cool in that? And then, yeah, it's the best. It's the best. Because, and I'd tell you this, a lot of people, I remember, teaching yoga, working in yoga studios, a lot of the yoga teachers were lawyers, and then they teach on the weekends, or, they work in the office and then they do this. And then, they're like, man, I want to do this full time. How can I do this full time? So I really feel the platform for, we're creating like a healthy workforce, because the more customers, the more people I could get, connect you with, then you're like, you know what, I could do this full time, or I am doing this full time. And this is really supporting me. So that's a huge goal of mine, is to support these amazing people. And then on the other side is, someone that has a goal, once they connect and the transformation happens, they become that they're that light, that their transmitter receiver is going off and they feel good about themselves. Maybe they lost that 20 pounds and now they're at the grocery store, they smile to the next person. And so that little ripple effect happens throughout every community. So the more people you could help in your community, the more that ripple effects, can continue throughout the world. And that's really like the macro vision of the site, right? Connect more people. There's a saying on the site that we go by, and it's surrounding yourself with the right people changes everything. And that's it. Look at my community that when I was on the streets, right? I'm going to be around. No, we're going to drink. We're going to figure out a way to make money so then we could get drugs and do drinks and party and that. Or you surround yourself with people that are doing doing yoga, drinking green juice, doing all these cool things. And then that's your community. And that vibration stays with you. And it just ripples out. Nothing negative can stick to you when you're alkaline and when you're feeling good and doing good. And it's easy to pass it along. I've grown up in New York City. We got on the raw food diet for 3 years. And I just couldn't vibe anymore. So New York, she just kicked me out. Nope, you're going with the nut jobs in California. And that's where the vibration was for me. And that's why I felt, oh man, I always felt at home and safe in New York, no matter where I was. But in California, I felt like, oh wow, just because my vibration was different and I matched up, and those synchronicities just happened more and more and more because my vibration was different. And it's amazing what happens when you are mindful of what you consume through your senses, through your TV. Am I going to just keep repeating the same reality TV show? And then when something happens in life, I have all those comebacks that are on this auto response program, and then, so you shut the TV off and then you stop listening to maybe heavy metal music or punk music or gangster rap, it's because those become mantras in your head. You're walking down the street and it's like, oh my God, where's this, and then maybe different synchronicities happen and you meet a person that also, and then, so it's like, be mindful of what you consume, what you put in your mouth, what you put in your nose, in your ears, all that stuff. Be mindful. So
that is so fantastic. It's incredibly true. I'm once again in alignment with you. And when we're whole and in flow, and then we're present and we attract and we're aware of what we're attracting. And it's quite a different experience. And for some, and at times for me too, it's sad when, there's transition and you're not in flow anymore. And I'm not as in flow with our favorite city together any longer. Right now, I was just there a few weeks ago and I'm like, okay. All right. I'm glad to be back, but it's different and I'm different. And for now, and so I appreciate you shedding light on that things change and that's okay. Before I land this plane, I would just love to spotlight for folks who maybe aren't practitioners of any particular trade. And by the way, there's a lot of amazing folks who are in community who do have offerings, and they're solopreneurs like you just described. I was one where I had my full-time job, yet there was a calling, and
Sure.
it is hard to make that leap. And so I appreciate you helping all of us who are transitioning, maybe from a corporate role or, a 40-hour work week into something that's more purpose driven. But my question is, if you don't have an offering, but you would like to work on your life goals from a place of wholeness and balance, walk us through how to use your offering as a member versus a practitioner.
Yeah, so like I said before, it's super easy. You go in and send your email, we verify it, and then it actually brings you directly to the general information tab. So it's like it's very, your age or this or this, and that sheet that you're filling out that's what we're going to give to the practitioner so they know about
Perfect.
you, because there is we're not just a directory of people. We provide a service. We match people. So we, if you don't want a massage therapy, if you want a female massage therapist and not a male, then you have to put that on there. So then that changes the algorithm and it helps us give you a better match. So that's a very quick fill out. And then once that page is done, then it goes to what is your goals. And so let's say, it's just going to be in the meals category. After you click the meals category and you click one, another one opens up, and there's also a cleansing in there as well. So maybe you weren't thinking about, colon hydrotherapist or Ayurvedic healing, or maybe I'll do a juice cleanse. People mail you juices. People could come to your house and teach you how to do these juices. So there's just so much to offer and so much that people do. I used to do that for people. I used to take them shopping. I used to go into their kitchen, throw away all their sugar, throw away all these products, and then take them to, a place like Whole Foods and be like, all right, this was your product. We're going to switch it out with this one. This is you drank this. I'm going to teach you how to make almond milk. You did this. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And so that was my job. So when you go to the site, it says go food shopping together, click, and that's it. You click that button and you find someone that could do that for, do that with you. So it's really simple. And it's on the website. I literally do it in 3 minutes, and I'm talking very slowly and clicking through the button. It took 3 minutes and 13 seconds, and you'll be matched with a whole bunch of people. The top ones are the ones that you're matched with more, but you could scroll through them all and click on them. And you have direct messages if you don't want to schedule an appointment just yet. You could, hey, here's a video of you could send videos, you could send pictures. This is what I'm going through. You could talk, they could contact that person. I didn't really let me try someone else. And then you could contact that next person. We don't take a percentage of any of the money when you have a session. So it doesn't matter to us who you pick, as long as you find someone that you want to work with. We're psyched on that. And what else? Yeah. So there's a calendar, click the date and time. Some practitioners give a 15-minute free consultation, so you could talk and see if you're a good match or good fit. There's so much to do on there. There's a lot. There is a lot. It's great.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I've only done it now from the practitioner side, and but you walking me through as a member, a couple people in Southwest Florida where I live took me grocery shopping almost a decade ago, and that, in hindsight now, makes me giggle, but literally the same experience. I mean, I couldn't even spell quinoa, never in wine, understand that you just had to, to boil water to cook it. I didn't even understand that. So I too needed that love and that kindness from someone who very patiently took me through a grocery store. Mine was in a group setting through the first program I ever went through, and it was wildly helpful. So I brought back great memories for me, Anthony. Thank you for that. Yeah, well, if folks had additional questions for you within your website or without your website, are there ways that folks can follow you or connect with you?
I would love it if someone had a goal and you could email me personally as ac@wholelifegoals.com. Or if you didn't want to talk to me personally and you want to talk to somebody else to get some support, you could do info@wholelifegoals.com. And you could ask any questions you want, and we'll help you and we'll figure something out for sure.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for being such an authentic, beautiful, bright light. And there's no doubt that the synchronicity of us crossing has warmed me and inspired me. And I hope that folks that have been able to hear this content can access your offering and be able to work on their own whole goals. I think it's a beautiful thing that you're offering.
Thank you so much. I seriously appreciate you being here and doing this, and how we found each other, and it is all meant to be. And thank you, because if you weren't doing this, I wouldn't be here sharing it. So thank you.
My pleasure. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed meeting my new friend, Anthony Cotter, and looking forward to working through his website to connect with many of you. And so until next time, I hope that you find that spark within and own your own journey, your own wellness, your own well-being, because all of those answers that you are looking for are already inside of you. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much. And until next time, be love.
You have just listened to another episode of Finding the Spark Within with Christin Collins. If you found our content valuable, visit us at christincollins.com/podcast, where you can find more episodes and amazing content. Connect with your purpose and discover ultimate joy. Join us again next time here on Finding the Spark Within.